Ladies and gentlemen,
That's why the gorilla is the best primate of all.
what? Ladies
Hi.
and gentlemen, welcome again to the best thing in the world on the interwebs. This is the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. Me and Gary have pulled together two of our favorite people that we have not gotten on the American Sci-Fi Classics quarantine panels before. So, Rick Klaw, Mark Finn, introduce yourselves if you would. One internet to the left of me is Mr. Rick Klaw.
Hi, I'm Rick Klaw, as he just said. I've been an editor and writer for, 30 years now, something like that. I used to work with Joe and Gary and Mark at Revolution SF back in the old days. I've edited, over 30 books now. Written essays for, everybody on the planet at different times. I currently work for Tachyon Publications as an occasional editor, and I handle all their social media stuff. So basically, if it happens online with Tachyon Publications, I deal with it. So,
very cool.
Mark?
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm Mark Finn, everybody. I am an author and an editor, and I do a bunch of stuff in the realm of Robert E. Howard studies. You guys, if you know me from anything, it's probably from the biography that I wrote, Blood and Thunder, The Life and Art of Robert E. Howard, which was nominated for a World Fantasy Award. I currently am putting out a Dungeons & Dragons gaming zine called Monty Haul, because I'm old enough that is actually a reference that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes. Like, I'm immediately, yeah.
It's sitting on my desk.
There you go.
I immediately got it.
Oh, good. And so I'm also an alumni of an alumnus of Revolution SF. I'm an infrequent contributor to the Revcast with Gary and Deanna, and I'm happy to be here. Real excited about this.
So what we're doing is a panel that Gary and I have done in live action.
So we're LARPing, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We're LARPing. Okay, just want to make sure we got what we're doing here.
Yeah, if you have your cloaks ready, go ahead and...
Let me get my wizard staff.
Gary, stop!
Fireball.
No, I'm not falling for that again. So what we're doing is we have a list of 20 movies from, in this case, the year 1990, the year 1995, and the year 2000. And we put together a list, and you guys are gonna. I'm gonna roll the 20-sided die, and whatever number comes up, that's what we'll do a panel on for 5 minutes.
I am your official timekeeper.
I love it. Mr. Gary is the official timekeeper. So, are you guys ready?
Fire one.
Sure.
Let's do. Since let's go clockwise, so to speak, and we'll do Mr. Rick Klaw first. Would you like the magenta die or the purple die?
I'm feeling royal. Let's go purple.
Nice. All right. 3. Okay. Let me look at the list. Number 3 is Exorcist 3.
Can we re-roll? No. Honestly, I've not seen Exorcist 3. I don't remember anything about Exorcist 3. That's the one that was written by Blatty, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, based on his book Legion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until earlier this afternoon, I thought Exorcist 3 was Exorcist 2.
Nope.
So that's how.
There's actually, if you read, what's the name of that book? The Grady Hendrix book about book covers. Mm-hmm. Is a great book about it. He talks a lot about Exorcist 3 in there, if I remember right. It was a different book. Anyway, there's a thing where they talk about Exorcist 3 and how much, because Blatty did not like The Exorcist. He felt it didn't go far enough in his portrayal of Christianity and the belief of the devil, and was very upset with that movie. And so this movie was supposed to be his fix of it.
Wow.
And from what I remember of the movie, and of course I haven't seen it probably in, 30, 40 years, is that it was okay. It wasn't, it had a lot of the jump scares. It wasn't quite as well done as Exorcist.
I don't think it didn't have the like over the topness of the first one because that's still a kind of a watershed for that kind of stuff.
Oh sure, yeah.
But when The Exorcist is good, I mean, there's a build up to it, and it's a hard, it's almost a Bataan death march through that first hour where you're walking on glass. And you don't have shoes, and you're like, oh, good Lord, get to it. But then when it gets to it, oh my God, it gets terrifying. It's there's one scene in particular that I'm thinking about that is just, good Lord. It's almost a masterclass in suspense. It gets props for that if nothing else. But Rick, I read The Exorcist, but I didn't read Legion. Have you read either one?
I've read Exorcist.
Yeah,
I never read Legion.
Yeah,
I mean, Exorcist is a great book. But I just never felt that particular brand of horror doesn't really do much for me. And I think part of it is being a non-believer. Doesn't mean anything to me.
Devil.
Yeah, so it doesn't really, I've never been any form of Christian in my entire life, ever. So to me, it means it doesn't, it's like, oh, cool. But, that's about it. It doesn't really mean anything to me.
Satan believes in you, Rick.
That's fine. That's fine.
I get his press releases. They're okay.
Yeah.
The thing is it's not, I don't think you have to actually have a belief for that movie to be scary. At least the first one in particular. To me, it represents a loss of control. It's about not having any free will.
I wasn't saying it wasn't scary. What I'm saying is reading more of that stuff doesn't really appeal to me. That's why I would never read Legion. I didn't feel like I needed to read more of it. It's like, it was a scary book and it was a scary movie, but that's all I needed to see. I didn't feel that I needed to have more of it.
I remember it was everywhere in the 80s whenever we were buying paperback horror stuff, but I never dove into it.
Yeah, it's a good book, Exorcist. It really is. And Legion may be a really good book too. I just never had desire to read it.
That's what I mean. Legion. I remember Legion being everywhere for a while. And I never picked it up.
It'd be easy to find now. Go to any used bookstore, you'll find one.
I think I might have been too scared to pick it up because The Exorcist really, as a teenager, The Exorcist really did a number on me. I was, I've always had control problems.
Yeah, Exorcist is still one of the scariest movies, and I still have trouble watching it.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones that's truly frightening for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of in the same boat. I was never really that much of a believer, but there's that. When you read The Exorcist, you watch it, you get that little voice in the back of your brain that goes, hey, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. But the Legion, I love to get, George C. Scott, Brad Dourif. It's got a great cast. And like you said, it's got one of the best jump scares in movies with the giant head trimmer scissors.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And what's great about it is that it's not it's not traditional. It's not coming at you. They literally, your expectation completely dies down. Like it just, and then boom.
Speaking of boom.
All right. Fine.
Okay, 5 minutes. Now let's see. The next turn is Mr. Mark Finn.
I do everything that Rick does, so I want the purple die.
All right.
Wow.
8.
I feel honored.
8.
Yeah.
All right.
8 is Waterworld.
We have to talk about Waterworld for 5 minutes, starting now.
Oh, the toupee. Oh, the amount of money they spent keeping his hair on his head. Jeez. What a piece of shit. Oh my God.
It's too bad you didn't own a theater then, Mark.
It really is. It really is. On the other hand, I'd like to know what member of the jet ski lobby actually was able to retire on the money they made in convincing somebody that that's what we wanted to see. A movie where the world is basically a bunch of tires lashed together and we travel by jet ski. I don't get that. I don't understand how that's science fiction. That's basically SeaWorld.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, isn't there a Waterworld stunt show at one of the parks somewhere?
I think there was. I don't know if it's still going on.
I would go watch that.
Show involves peeing and drinking it, but it might.
That's your souvenir glass.
Yeah, that's it's a juice pouch at the end of the ride. Yeah, it's nice.
With that movie, the only thing I think of when I watch that movie is hubris.
Yeah.
Is that really, how much of an ego do you have that you go, well, I'm going to have to spend whatever it was, $300 million or $500 million, whatever the heck it is. In money now, it's probably $1 billion. And that we're going to make a movie, this crappy movie, to a filmmaker wwho really hadn't done that much yet. I mean, didn't he win an Oscar by then? I forget.
Yeah, he won. He had done Dance with the Wolves.
Right.
And I think he'd also done Field of Dreams, so he was like
he was a big star. But there's a difference between being a big star and being this huge filmmaker that you're going to give $300 million to make a movie. Mm-hmm. Without a track record.
Well, I think part of the problem is they started out by giving him $100 million, and it exploded from there because, as Steven Spielberg will tell you, don't make movies on the water.
yeah. If nothing else, that's a cardinal rule, anyways. And oh God, yeah. What a horrible movie. But this is the period in my life where I was able to start kind of looking at things and going, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to consume that, I'm very proud of the fact that I've only ever seen the first Highlander movie. I've never seen...
Well, there is only one, Mark.
That's right. There can be only one.
There aren't any others. I don't know what you're talking about.
And I'm going to help them forever with that. But, there was a... it's different if it's like cable, late night, 11:30, you're drunk.
Oh.
You're like, oh.
Well, and there's that randomness. It just shows up.
But paying for stuff like that,
and
when I know I'm going to be insulted, I came out of Stockholm syndrome with my consumption of fan media. Where we used to go see everything because you thought if we don't go see it, they'll never make anything else ever again. We have to watch this so that they know that we're interested. And there was a point at which I went, you know what? No, we don't have to support this because
we don't.
The good stuff will rise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thankfully, at the time, I was working in a movie theater, so I got to see it for free.
Nice.
I don't remember. I think I got to see it for free too, and I don't remember because I really wasn't doing that many reviews then. But I remember seeing Postman for free. I don't remember.
We ran with everybody that was watching those. So,
of course we did.
Yeah, we got.
But I still had to pay for them.
Right.
Hey guys. By the way, a little side. The book I was trying to remember is Shock Value.
Okay.
Is a fantastic book about 70s horror. An amazing book, and it talks a lot. There's a whole chapter on The Exorcist in there, and went on with it. Sorry about that.
I could talk about 70s horror for an hour. That's a whole other panel.
So Gary, did you like it at the time?
No.
Were you entranced? The magic of Waterworld.
I remember vividly going to see it. It starts out with him drinking his own pee, and
right.
from that I spent the whole movie going, "Yeah, but he drank his own pee."
There's no coming back from that.
There were parts of it I did enjoy. Like, I love Dennis Hopper. I love the fact that he's in an entirely different movie. He knows what movie he's in, and Kevin Costner doesn't. But yeah, Mad Max in the Ocean just did not do it for me.
No.
There were some interesting concepts. I think a better filmmaker could have done something with it, but film it in a tank. Don't film it in the actual ocean. I'm mistaken.
Wait. Did they actually film in the ocean?
Yeah. Which is the reason the budget blew up.
It was for a number of reasons, one of the things, you're right, it is a cardinal rule. I mean, Spielberg was very vocal about not filming, in the water. In fact,
Kevin Costner's no Steven Spielberg.
No.
As we all know.
I love the Hunt for Red October is a really good example. None of the submarine shots in that movie are actually underwater.
No, it's all a smoke tank.
It's
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they were all filmed with green screen in tanks with smoke for atmosphere, and that was it. There's no water for any of the underwater shots.
One of the first uses of CGI was making the water ripples from the
turbines.
Propellers.
Yeah, the propellers.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's we haven't had to do it for a while. It was just embarrassing.
Yeah. All right, Joe. What's we've done purple, right?
Okay. Purple or magenta?
Yes. I'm going to buck the trend and go magenta.
All right. Okay, that was 8 again, so we just finished talking about 15. Let me check the list. 15 is Total Recall.
Now we're getting somewhere. All right.
Get ready for a surprise. I love that movie. Arnold is at the peak of his Arnoldness. It's Paul Verhoeven having come off of RoboCop. It's got Michael Ironside as a wonderful villain. Sharon Stone and she had done Basic Instinct before or after this? I think it was
After.
Okay.
After.
But it is a wonderful little satire. It has some wonderful action scenes. And you can't go wrong starting with a Philip K. Dick story.
You start with it, but you don't end with it.
Actually, it's the reason. Actually, you want to go, Mark? Because I'm going to probably differ from all of y'all. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I hated that movie. I still hate that movie. Okay? It's a piece of shit. And the fact that it's based on a Philip K. Dick story is one of the reasons I hate it.
Yeah.
Because it completely misses the point.
Right.
The story it's based on, which I don't know if you've ever read it, it's about how violence doesn't work. That is not the answer to anything. Violence. It's completely opposite of the tone of the movie. And so it really misses it. And being weird doesn't make it a Philip K. Dick story. And they deviate from Philip K. Dick, 20 minutes into the movie. I remember watching going, well, maybe they're going to get part of it right. And I thought, wow, they went way off base here. It is a terrible adaptation of that story, it's not like a terrible. Blade Runner is a terrible adaptation. Is a terrible adaptation of Do Androids Dream? But Blade Runner is a great movie. That doesn't happen here with Total Recall. Total Recall is a piece of shit. It's a crappy movie. But okay, maybe it's all right. No, it's terrible. It's garbage.
The problem with Philip K. Dick is basically the same problem that people do with Robert E. Howard. People think they know, but they never get it right. And so I was able to really quickly divorce myself from this being anything remotely resembling Philip K. Dick. And at that point, and it's not my favorite Paul Verhoeven movie either.
No, not at all.
Not even. But I do like it. It's about here's the deal. If we're looking at my scale of B movies, like my sliding scale, the lowest B movie part that I'll accept is Total Recall. Like anything on the other side of that line is like, oh, now you're just fucking with me. But Total Recall is sort of my baseline for, it's cheesy, it's hokey. There's no reason for that woman to have 3 breasts. There's no reason for the guy from Basket Case to be making a cameo on the chest. But there's just enough other stuff in it where I think it's greater than the sum of its parts. That said, I agree with Rick. It's not great. But
wow, Mark, I expected you to disagree with me.
No, I know it's not great. But I can overlook it in the same way that I can really enjoy Conan the Barbarian, and not look. I don't look for Robert E. Howard there. You know what I mean?
Even beyond the Philip K. Dick elements not being done right, it's just not a good movie. And I've seen other B movies that I've enjoyed a lot more than that one.
I think there's way worse Schwarzenegger from this period, like The Running Man. And
but that's a low bar.
Again, it's a low bar, but we're talking cheese here. This movie has a lot of craft. It's the cheesiest, you know. See what I did? Because
yeah, we saw Mark. Yeah, we all know how this works.
Okay.
So, what did you all think about the remake? I'm just curious.
I liked the hand phone idea as a tech idea because where he had it implanted in his hands. Like, okay, yeah, I can see us going that way. But other than that, I thought it was boring.
Yeah, I thought when you take out all the crazy stuff, the Schwarzenegger stuff and the Sharon Stone stuff,
yeah,
and you're left with new people aping that. I was not into it.
It did absolutely nothing for me. Most of the remakes from the last few years have really fallen flat for me. So you know, again, say what you want about that movie. The original had personality. Mm-hmm. That personality might have been an asshole, but it's a personality.
Still counts.
That's right. Personality goes a long way.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't see the remake, so
you didn't miss anything.
You missed fuck all, is what you missed.
Yeah.
And that's time.
All right.
So where did you go?
We are back to Mr. Rick.
Oh.
Magenta or purple?
I'm sorry?
Magenta or purple?
Oh, let's go magenta this time.
All right.
See what you did, Gary?
Now I have to pick magenta.
That is Gremlins 2, the new battle.
What the hell?
Actually, Gremlins 2 is an interesting film because it's a very meta film. Mm-hmm. It's very self-referential. Spit that out. It's not a bad film. It certainly doesn't have the charm of Gremlins. It was a movie that it's like one of those movies that the problem with a lot of these movies. I haven't seen Gremlins 2 since probably it came out.
Yeah.
It's not like you sit around and go, Gremlins 2. I'm going to watch that tonight.
Let's sit down with the family.
Yeah. With Gremlins you might do that. But it's not like I said, it's not a bad movie, it's just not a great movie. And see, Mark, you were talking about B films. This would fall into the category. And
sure.
Joe Dante directing it helps a lot. Joe Dante's a really good director. Mm-hmm. And so it helps that he's involved with it, because immediately it makes it's going to be elevated to some degree.
Yeah.
And he's really good at doing those kind of B film levels,
mm-hmm. Totally.
And so I would say, like, I enjoyed Gremlins 2 more than I enjoyed Total Recall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, like, I liked the first one. But I didn't love the first one, mm-hmm. and I really didn't like this one. Because what they doubled down on the stuff that I didn't like about the first one. The personalities and the little the little over the top cartoony things.
Well, yeah, it's more of the same.
Right.
So if you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like the second one.
Yeah.
I liked the first one a lot.
I like the setup much more than when things get out of hand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the second one. My favorite thing about it is how meta it is and how it comments on the pop culture of the time. I mean, there's a Batman gag.
Right.
Hulk Hogan is in it.
Yeah. That sequence is hilarious when they go into the movie theater. And I just love Tony Randall voicing the smart gremlin. One of my favorite sequences actually in movies, and then in any movie, is when he's being interviewed by the late night horror host guy. And he's like, no, we're trying to be civilized. Sure, we could run around and smash things. That's not civilized. And there's another gremlin creeping out behind him making weird noises. And the gremlin pulls out a gun, shoots it, and goes, see, that was not civilized. Fun, yes.
If it had come out in the 80s when I was still a teenager, I would have been all over it. I would have that kind of humor, that kind of Fred Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of humor. I'd have been all over it. It was too late for me for that. At that point, I was taking myself way too seriously. Too much stick up my ass to really ever.
That's
go
true. Back. I remember you like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Rick Klaw confirms that.
So when you lost your hair, your stick went out with it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I will say, I'm going to say this now so everybody can hear it. It's going to record posterity. When I met Mark, he had hair pretty close to about the middle of your back, maybe your ass. Long hair. We both had really long hair at that point.
I was the Crystal Gale of the Texas convention sector. It wasn't that long. It was pretty long.
Yeah,
That
my hair was really long at that point too. But yeah,
I wasn't positive that we'd be discussing Crystal Gale on the podcast tonight, but I'm glad that we did.
Sure.
Laura Lynn will probably come up soon too, because we've got
big fan here, big Laura Linney fan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that they got Chris Lee in it as the main scientist.
Did Dick Miller make an appearance in this one again? I can't remember. I mean, I think he's in all of Joe's movies.
Yeah,
I think he was like doing I'm going to go. Actually, yeah, that reminds me.
Yeah,
the whole character arc of his is he's the only person that still believes that the Gremlin thing happened.
That's right. Yep. Thank you. I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. And don't get me wrong. For no other reason than Dick Miller got some great paychecks off of everything Joe Dante did. I'm happy for that.
And time.
Yeah, but Matinee came after this, and
Matinee is an amazing movie.
Yeah, just for so many other reasons. I feel like they did Gremlins too because. Well, I'm glad, and again, I'm glad he did the sequel because somebody else would have messed that up more.
Well, and he got the paycheck.
I need to watch it again. I'll see. I don't know. I just remember being really. I tried very hard to be put out by it at the time. Like, why do they have to do this? God, that was me. It was a dark time. There is no dark time. I don't know why I said that. All right, are we at
the
5
dark brooding Mark Finn?
We are at time.
Thank God. I'm going to stay with purple because I'm a man of my convictions now.
Oh my gosh. Mr. Mark Finn, you have rolled a 1, which means Battlefield Earth.
Oh, that's a critical fumble. Yeah. Boy, that's a crit. Oh. Well,
and a piece of crit, I tell you that.
It is a piece of crit.
Oh. All right. So we kicked the word hubris around a couple of times. But I don't think we've really been able to apply it as succinctly as we could apply it to the back of John Travolta's ass in this movie. The shit he got up to. Oh my giddy odds. I cannot believe this thing got made. I mean, first of all, L. Ron Hubbard at his best, like the best L. Ron Hubbard story ever written from his pulp era is mediocre. Like, it's serviceable. He is at his best. He was a workman, like prose stylist. Never super clever, but serviceable. You could read a story.
He was clever enough to get an entire religion.
Well, that was yeah. I don't know how that translates into his writing. But the Battlefield Earth stuff, like nobody seriously ever read that. I mean, that was just not something that we walked around carrying. It was
you couldn't because it weighed a ton.
But but we all knew it was bad then. Like that was.
Hey, I read it at high school.
Really?
Yeah, one summer.
God, how did
you borrow my copy? Because I did the same thing.
Oh.
I didn't like it.
I was young. What do you want?
I attempted to. It was 1,066 pages, and I was determined to finish it.
Wow.
And I was not the same when I finally.
Well, it was when you were younger. I did it when I must have been in junior high when I read it. And it's that point in your life when you're like, I'm going to finish everything I read.
Yeah.
And of course, now you get 50 pages. And I'm just, I don't like it. I'm out of there.
But, I think that might have been the first science fiction book that I didn't finish. That might have been the first one where I got like 3 chapters in and was like, what am I doing?
That was the summer that I read that book and Dune.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Talk about the sacred and the profane.
I remember.
Which book do you think I remember better? Huh.
Wow.
I do. Actually, I've seen 10 minutes of that movie.
Cut it in half because it was too big to carry around.
Yeah.
And I was about 100 pages into it when I just went, pages are starting to fall off and I don't care. And I threw it.
Yeah. I thought the movie was the worst thing I'd seen in a long time, and it forced a realization upon me about sincerity and intention. For decades, people always complained that Plan 9 from Outer Space was the worst movie of all, and it's absolutely cheaply made and not very well made, but there's a sincerity in it.
Oh yeah,
that you don't find in something like Robot Monster, which literally doesn't have it has no animus. I was watching this movie, and I did not believe anyone on screen, and Travolta's not De Niro, but I've seen it in movies where he acted and you were like, okay, he's an actor. Barry Pepper is in it, and at no point in time.
Forrest Whitaker's in it.
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
But the whole thing feels like what happens. It feels like someone did an experiment on virtual AI, and let's make a bunch of actors out of computer parts and make a movie with them. And there's not a point in time that Travolta is screaming at the monitor about what the humans are doing. That I care, that I was invested, that I was impressed. That movie is shit from top to bottom. It's 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack. Who owns a copy?
Well,
other than
well, the thing is, I've got a different viewpoint on this one because at the time when that movie came out, I was a science fiction book buyer for Book People, which, if y'all don't know, Mark knows this, of course. Book People is the largest independent bookstore in Texas, and I was a science fiction buyer, and so I would get these calls from, was it Bridge? Oh, he's making me very silly. All right, well, I'm done.
Finish your
story. And they would call me and say, you need to get this case, this a dump as they call it, with 50 copies, have it on display. It looks like a giant book. And I was like, no. I was like, what do you mean no? It's going to be a big movie. I said, I'm going to do it like I always do. I'm going to have 2 copies on the shelf. You go to any used bookstore in the country, and there's a zillion of them sitting on the shelf. So the book's not going to sell. And I purposely did not want to see the movie. I was like, okay, I'm tired of hearing about this. I don't want to go. And I was going to another movie, and I went into the wrong theater. I don't remember what movie I was seeing. And I went in there, and it was like the first 10 minutes of the movie. It was like 10 minutes of the movie, and I was like, it's like, what did I walk into?
Yeah.
And it was, I stood there, my mouth open, 10 minutes, like, I can't sit here and watch this. I mean, I didn't pay for it. I was just standing there because I went in the wrong theater. It was so bad.
Wow.
And I still haven't seen the rest of the movie. I've never seen anything else in that movie except for the 10 minutes. That was enough for me to go, no, thank you. And also my dealings with Bridge Publications.
Yeah.
And you know what? We didn't sell the 2 copies I had on my shelf.
Right.
They're still there today.
And when you can't, the book's this thick. So, well, sorry, Paul did my hand up. It's this thick. You can't exactly have that many of them on the shelf.
No.
1,066 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a story, Gary. I've told you the story. Shane Ivey and I interviewed the director of Battlefield Earth.
Oh, wow.
Like on year 1 of Zealot.com and Revolution SF. We were there he came to Dragon Con for some reason. And so we got to sit there in person and talk to him. And my question was to him, did you read the book? And then Roger Christensen, his response was, we all read the book. And we all walked around with the book, and we would quote parts of it, and we would refer to the book. And I remember looking over at Shane Ivey and going, where are we? Why is this happening to us? And me and him both were shell-shocked. And Greg, this is our first year of doing, professional geek things. But
that's genius. Wow.
This is where it started.
Wow.
And the guy was like, no, we all read it. And just the idea of everyone on that set walking around with that 1,000-page book going, wait a minute. Let me look at page 476 for authenticity.
I'll bet you.
I was thinking about all the workman's compensation claims for carrying around that book.
I'll bet you $1 million nobody actually had a full copy of the book because they'd all cut out a space in the book where they could hide their bottle of hooch for when they needed to take a drink to get through the day because they were dealing with John Travolta. That's what it was. Those were all secret hooch carriers.
Shane and I just were reconsidering our life choices. We were like, we're in the same room as the director of Battlefield Earth.
That's amazing.
Wow.
What a trial by fire.
That was year 1.
Wow.
Amazing.
So we said, you know what? From here on out, we're not going to make a nickel writing sci-fi stuff on the web. And it worked.
That's true. It was a deliberate choice.
I like it. All right. We're way over. Go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's Mark, right?
No, he just went.
Okay.
Mark was the lucky one.
I drew the short straw.
Yeah. Gary, magenta or purple?
I'll stick with my magenta musings.
That is a 9. Let me see what 9 is. Dick Tracy.
Hey.
I have a kind of a mixed feelings about this movie because there are parts of it that I love. There are parts of the production design I think it's great. They really went all out trying to capture the feel of a 4-color comic strip. Mm-hmm. And you can tell Warren Beatty loves the character and loves the world. I just think he should have let someone else be Tracy and just directed it. I think that's the biggest problem with it. And I think they tried to play up the Breathless Mahoney mystery a little too hard. But yeah, I mean, it's got a great cast. It's visually striking, and they were definitely chasing those Batman dollars.
Oh yeah.
I agree with Gary. I mean, it's pretty much what I would have said. I at the time I thought it was really overblown, the success it was getting, or the acclaim it was getting, because there were real problems with the movie. But it's not a bad movie. It's beautiful to look at, and I haven't seen it since it came out, but I'm sure it would hold up.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if it didn't. But yeah, it's pretty forgettable. But
I have a theory regarding superhero movies, especially ones prior to 2008, that a lot of them were greenlit and written and produced under the assumption that we're only going to get one shot at this.
Yeah,
there's no we have to put all of our eggs into one basket, and so. What do people want to see from a Dick Tracy movie? Well, you got to have Flat Top. Yeah, Flat Top. Oh, yeah, I got to have and you got to have 88 keys. Yeah, 88 keys. You got to have 88 keys. And you got to have Mumbles. Mumbles is a classic Dick Tracy. Oh, yeah, Mumbles, yeah. And then this checklist starts to show up. And it doesn't really matter after a point that you do anything with these characters. You just have to show them. We just have to show the fans that we spent $10,000 coming up with makeup for the brow. He's going to have 3 lines at the poker game, and then we're going to cut back over to Littleface, who wasn't nearly as popular as the brow, but for some reason you got him in the movie. Don't get me started.
I forgot about Littleface.
Yeah. This was a movie that suffered from that, you know.
Yeah, it was a lot too much. It was
the Chester Gould, Dick Tracy stories, as newspaper strips. They would run for several months, and it was always one syndicate hitman or one up and coming criminal that he was chasing the whole time. If he had just picked. If they'd picked just 2 villains, if it had been Big Boy and his torpedo Flat Top, man, that would have been an awesome movie because we'd have gotten into all of this stuff and it would have been really cool. The Flat Top story, the first one that they did for Dick Tracy was great, and you could have pulled some fun stuff out of it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think probably Warren Beatty got kind of in the middle of it, and he's no Ralph Byrd, and he's really no Chester Gould. So that's kind of the issue.
Yeah, I agree. I think making a simpler movie would have probably helped, a simpler plot. It's the whole thing we talk about, how whenever they say, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of villains into the movie. It's like, really, guys? When does this work?
Yeah.
When does it work when you put 5 villains in?
Well, and I think that's the whole idea. We want to be true to the fans, because all those 80-year-old Dick Tracy fans have been clamoring for this movie forever. But we also want to introduce them to a whole new audience
too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's this idea that it's if it's got the kitchen sink and there will be something somebody likes about it, up to and including Madonna.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be fair, she's the only. There's 2 women in the movie, and she's one of them. So I guess you needed that in there. I don't know why, but yeah, it's a style over substance movie. It's the kind of movie that I like to watch with the volume down, listening to like better soundtracks. The visuals are still great. I love the visuals and the primary color palette, the way they shot stuff. It's very pretty from that stylistic period. That Tim Burton Batman look.
All right, and we'll just go ahead and call it there then. We'll
make it up for lost time.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm wavering all the place. I'm going to go purple this time.
All right. Whoa.
It's my turn, isn't it? Yeah.
You copycatting son of a bitch. Fine. I'll be big about it.
I'll be big about everything because I just can't help it.
I think most of us are in that boat.
Yeah. Your movie, sir, is Flatliners.
Can I re-roll? I'm kidding.
Yep.
Flatliners. Is that in honor of his recent death? Is that where we're going here?
Oh my God, who died? Oh, Schumacher.
Schumacher died.
I was like, oh my God, did Kiefer Sutherland die?
No. That'd be a lot more tragic. That was mean. Flatliners, when it came out, I remember enjoying it. I remember thought it was kind of interesting. An interesting science fiction film, but it doesn't age well at all. It's because it's a concept that Schumacher is really not that great of a filmmaker. I mean, he's he would take this idea and go, okay, let's do this. And honestly, I don't really have much to say about that movie, to be honest. It's not like the movie means nothing to me, really. I don't really hate it. I don't like it. I probably will never see it again. It's, sometimes, almost everything else we're talking about, I have a strong opinion about. This movie, I don't really have anything to say. I really don't.
I rewatched it a few years ago, and
why'd you do that?
I don't know. It was
okay.
It was me and my wife were going through 80s movies that we had either not seen for a long time or had never seen, and we saw it, and I was like, okay, that's all there is. And, and when do these medical students have time to do this? Look, medical students have a lot of work to do. Why are they taking the time to explore death? Come on, guys, get back to work. You've got like Anatomy 360 that you've got to finish.
I got to tell you, after The Lost Boys, I began to keep a sharp eye out for Schumacher's name. And I did not see Flatliners because of his name. It's true. There are people in the movie that I like, and certainly people that are considered great actors and actresses, and it's a fantastic cast. I like almost everybody in it, but I was so bothered by Lost Boys that carried over. And
bothered in which way, Mark? What do you mean by bothered?
Oh, I hated it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll disagree with you on that one, but to me, it's the best movie Schumacher ever made. But
that's a whole other panel.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we may have to do that panel because the sweaty sax man is the best part of that.
The saxophone player from The Call.
So good.
And the 30 seconds when Jamie Gertz is dancing on the beach.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go. Everything else is just God. Yeah. So I'm not a Schumacher guy. I never have been really.
A buddy of ours, mine and Gary, opened for the sweaty sax man last year.
No.
And he still brags about it. It's the best night of his life.
Yeah, the sax guy is still touring.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure. If you look like a greased up Humongous from the Road Warrior and can play the saxophone in a rock band, wouldn't you ride that horse into the ground? Yeah.
40 years.
Absolutely.
I'd be dragging the dead horse behind me.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Adam and the Ants can still tour because he can. Let him.
Huh.
God bless him.
But getting back to the movie, the main thing I remember is it was like the first Brat Pack movie. It was the first one I think actually St. Elmo's Fire was the first.
Yeah, he did St. Elmo's Fire before that, yeah.
Yeah, but this was the Brat Pack does horror, so I had to see it because I was a horror nut. And yeah, I had the same, it was a movie impression when it was over.
Yeah, I mean, you see it and it's like you don't hate the movie, but you don't, it's not memorable at all. There's nothing about that movie that you go, wow, that's... Actually, what I call those movies, I always called them TNT movies. They'd be movies that you see in the theater, and you come home and you don't really remember anything about the movie, and then you'll be sitting at home watching cable, and then TNT's like, oh, wow, that movie looks kind of interesting. Maybe I'll watch it, and you're like, 20 minutes in the movie, you goes, oh, I've seen this.
Right.
And because you don't remember anything about the movie. And
I've seen it 7 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you don't remember any of the times you've seen it.
Nothing.
Yeah, its biggest.
Get all excited every time.
Is that it's a key game. It's a key movie in the Kevin Bacon game. It connects.
Yeah. You can link a lot of people there. That's true.
All right, and we're at time.
All right, Mark Finn.
Magenta, because you're not the boss of me, Rick.
I think we have done this one already. All right, let me roll again because that was Gremlins 2 again. Oh, 17, Mortal Kombat.
Before we go on, I'm going to abstain from this because actually I have never seen Mortal Kombat, and I feel happy about that. I feel good.
Yeah.
It's a positive life choice.
I had this weird phase in my life where I kept thinking maybe this is the movie that will show the world that video games are just as viable a storytelling medium as any other. I've since given up on that because that's just ridiculous.
And around that time, they kept trying.
Yeah.
Like, no, video game movies are going to be great.
That's right.
We as comic book nerds were like, no, we've been through this, guys.
Yeah, this will not end the way you think it will.
No.
Everybody likes Super Mario Brothers, but here's the problem. Yeah.
It's like when you made the Doom movie, and you're like, really? We need to have a story to go with this? We're going around blowing things up. Who cares?
This was the thing, the thing about the Street Fighter film was that they at least there was an attempt to sort of pay a kind of an homage to 70s chop-socky kung fu films. Mm-hmm. There's like elements of it that are almost Enter the Dragon and almost the Chinese Connection and sort of Kill and Kill Again. And you're like, wow, if I squint, I can almost see an actual martial arts movie in this film. Mortal Kombat said, nah, we don't need any of that. We're just gonna lay down everything we have on our super cool characters because that's what people want to see. And
but haven't they made a bunch of sequels and everything to that movie?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, because
they keep trying to make it work.
I think there is an audience for it that does not care. It is the same audience that, by the way, used to buy every issue of The Punisher every month because they kept hoping that this would be the issue of The Punisher where he shoots all of the other Marvel characters in the head that he doesn't like. And also the people who would indiscriminately buy any Conan comic because what they really liked was the ones where Conan was fighting a big demon and a wizard. And I'm not going to say that those fans are the lowest common denominator, but I will say that those.
Go ahead and say that.
Those fans really like the lowest common denominator when it comes to stuff like that. So, those keep making just enough money that they go, if we just knock a couple of million off the next budget, we could do another one.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
Yeah.
They had Christopher Lambert as Raiden.
Yes.
In the first movie, and then they said, you know what the problem is? We got to replace the only famous person.
Right.
And so that's what they did. They got some other dude to play.
They got James Remar.
Yeah. No, I'm not bagging on James Remar, but come on. He ain't Christopher Lambert.
Not even a little bit.
So clearly I don't need to rush out and watch this movie tomorrow.
No.
There are parts of it I like. I really am impressed with the practical effects of Goro, the big four-armed guy. I thought that was impressive. I love Kerry Tagawa as Shang Tsung. I thought his performance was great. He was a guy who knew exactly what movie he was in and did his performance to match. He knew he was in a cheesy martial arts movie. But yeah, it's like you said, it's Enter the Dragon with the serial numbers filed off.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it doesn't have the glue of Bruce Lee and Jim Kelly and John Saxon to hold it together. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. We'll call that 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's probably more I've talked about Street Fighter in my life.
How many have we got left?
A lot.
All right, let's lightning around it.
All right, let's take it down to like 2 minutes.
Deal.
All right, let's Gary, magenta or purple?
My purple.
Okay, I'm going to roll both and average out the result. Is that what you want?
Sure.
Let's see. 10 plus 9 is 19 divided by 2. That 9 is. All right, I'll round up and go to. I'll round up and go to number 10. Species.
Ooh.
Lots of nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember liking parts of it. I remember especially the line when the one scientist goes, "We made it female, so it'd be more docile," and the one other character goes, "Have you met women?"
I got to interview Natasha Henstridge for a convention.
Oh.
Yeah, she was really nice, and
you weren't worried about her eating you or anything?
I wasn't, but I asked her. I said, how difficult was that? Because that was a lot of that. I mean, it was all you, and she kind of smirked and said, "Yeah, it was, but everybody was actually really cool on set." And then I went on to like her other movies because I just really didn't want this to get into. Yes, but your breasts were so full. I've learned that over the years there's certain things you just don't ask celebrities about. But what's funny is one of the guys, like the first question, somebody stood up and I as he was standing up, I thought, oh, this is not going to be the question anybody wants to hear. And I remember having to like kind of stop him about halfway through what he said. I said, listen, that sounds great. Let's continue that later. Does someone else have a question? Because it was all about how did you feel about with the scenes in the?
Oh God! Yeah,
that guy. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I like the movie. It was that was another fun one. That had a
I would go with that. It's not.
The first one's fine.
Yeah, it's not a particularly. It's okay. I mean, the movie's. It's one of those movies that I have no desire to really see again.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any of the sequels. Felt no urge to see any of the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're not good.
No.
Well, I don't doubt it.
They left everything on the table with that first one.
And again, it was a Giger design, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that was the whole selling point of the movie.
That was the reason for showing up. Yep.
All right, next one.
I'm gonna. It's me, I think. Yeah. And magenta. We'll stay with magenta. Because I want to follow Mark.
That's wise.
Joe, just pick one.
I'm going to pick one. Judge Dredd.
Oh, God. Really? Talk about your bad superhero movies. Oh, my God. All you have to know about this movie is if you've ever read Judge Dredd, the fact that Stallone insists on taking his helmet off tells you everything you need to know about this movie. Just skip it and go see Dredd, which is a much better movie. It's a really good movie. It's terrible. It's like one of these things where they go. Somebody went, "Hey, this in England they make this super cop kind of movie, this comic, and here I'm going to tell you the story." And they told the guy the story, and then the other guy told this other guy the story. And this other guy told the other guy the story. Nobody read any of it, of course. Yeah. And then the third guy or fourth guy down the line wrote the screenplay. It's like a bad game of telephone. The movie is terrible. It's unwatchable terrible.
Yeah, Max von Sydow doesn't save it. It's not.
Nothing saves that movie.
No, it's such a shame. I was so ready for that to be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, literally the second he took his helmet off, I was like, well, you guys. We're in the weeds.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
The only thing I liked was Armand Assante, again, knew exactly what movie he was in and chewed on every single piece of scenery that he could get his hands on.
Yeah, he was fun. And on one hand, you want Judge Dredd to be a kind of a implacable, sort of an unflappable guy. But unfortunately, he can't be the most boring person in the room. And Stallone really, he didn't phone it in. I think he was trying to do a thing. It just didn't work.
Yeah. When I've recommended Dredd to people, I'm always like, make sure it's Dredd, not Judge Dredd.
Not Judge. No, look in the D.
Yes. Carl Urban.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see Sylvester Stallone, you have done something wrong.
If you see Rob Schneider, you've done something wrong. That's a rule for just in general.
I think for life.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right.
Yeah. I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
Next up, Predator 2.
Ooh, Danny Glover, Streets of New York. Rastafarian gangsters.
Yeah.
This is another thing where I really think that everything that you needed to. I think the entire concept of Predator was bought and sold in the first movie.
Yeah.
Everything else has brought nothing new to the game.
And Predator, the Predator movie, it's the original Predator. It's not that good of a movie. I mean, it's a concept's okay. It's not that good. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do now? This next movie needs to be great, and they didn't do that. You know, it's just the whole gimmick was, hey, we got Schwarzenegger in the jungle blowing things up. Well, in the second movie, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So,
but if we use a concrete jungle,
and if we use Gary Busey,
yes,
that's right.
Oh Lord. Yeah, because he'll just bite the Predator's head off with his giant mouth.
I'm betting on Busey in this situation.
I'll tell you what I think. Here's what I think. Here's what I think about the Predator. He's invisible.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I thought it was fun. I love the diverse cast. Bill Paxton is pretty much the only white guy amongst the leads.
I mean, awesome. That stuff's great. I'll watch Danny Glover in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him in the new Jumanji movie. I'm just happy that he's getting work. I just want him to be in better movies. That was the problem. And again, it comes. This is the deal. The reason why that first Predator movie works. You're right. It's not that great, but it's that switch in the middle that makes it so good. That's the real charm of it, especially to people that have never seen it before.
Right, it's the reveal and everything.
The reveal, and we can't ever do that again.
Right, exactly.
So we know from the get-go what this is, and that undercuts all the suspense, everything interesting, and now it's just literally, how are the cops going to beat the Predator?
Well, and that's why, like, with Alien and Aliens, they were able to do it because it was an entirely different kind of movie.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because we had to reveal already an Alien.
Right.
So we knew the reveal wasn't going to be in Aliens. It just, and it made a whole different movie out of it.
Yeah.
And
that's,
so yeah.
That's something that not a lot of people give those movies credit for doing that. The Alien movies have been different every time. Yeah. The Predator movies have all been the same.
Mm-hmm.
We just solved the problem here, folks. We just solved the problem.
Yeah.
Well, good.
We
need Predator the musical.
Let's do a couple more. Let's do. Let's see.
How many do we have left?
8. So let's do.
What?
Wow.
Here's what we have left out of 20. We have RoboCop 2.
Okay.
And Johnny Mnemonic.
Which one?
Johnny
Mnemonic. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and
or Matrix Light, you mean?
Yeah. 12 Monkeys.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one.
Yeah.
And Tremors.
Which I love Tremors.
I dug Tremors.
Go. Tremors, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tremors is an amazing movie. And it really holds up really well. It's Kevin Bacon and Michael Glass. Am I thinking right? Glazer. Yeah. He's fantastic. They were fantastic in that movie. Just how the whole thing where just suddenly there's these two guys and all of a sudden the world just erupts around them.
Yeah.
It's like and the fact that they make giant worms terrifying and make it work. And yet the movie itself is lighthearted. It's a very weird juxtaposition of the movie, and it really is a great movie.
And it's practical effects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the dad from Family Ties and Reba McEntire are the...
Yeah, Reba McEntire is really good in it.
I always forget Reba McEntire's in it.
Yeah, and then, of course, you got Fred Ward, who's really amazing, too.
Oh, he's always, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's a solid horror/monster movie. Any way you want to cut it, it still holds up.
Actually, of all the movies we've talked about so far today, if people are watching this, that's the movie. If you've not seen it, you need to watch.
Out of the ones we've seen
that's the movie.
so far, talked about so far, go see Tremors.
Yeah, we're all in agreement on that. That one's worth your time. Totally.
It's another movie that knew exactly what it was, didn't try to be above itself, and it knew it. It's like, I am in this square, and I am going to do the best job I can in it.
And they didn't have a ton of money, and they spent it wisely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a low-budget film. And technically, Mark, that's a B film. B movie.
Yeah, totally.
And it's a fantastic B film.
What I liked about it is that they didn't spend a lot of time on the setup either.
Yeah.
It's really not as important as these people
they don't explain where these worms come from. Doesn't matter. Don't care.
Never do. Yeah.
Not important. Not germane to the story. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't spend 40 minutes getting to know this town and these people before the monsters show up.
Nope.
I suspect that's why the characters are written as broadly as they are, because you discover who they are throughout the movie. Yeah. Absolutely worth seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
three more.
right.
And we can just bounce through these. First one is Pitch Black.
I
love that movie.
Pitch Black. Yeah.
Yeah, Pitch Black's great.
So good. Add that
Another
one to
knew what it
Tremors.
was.
Yeah. Vin
that
Diesel's amazing in that movie.
Was that Chloe directed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pitch Black came out. That was one of the first movies that we reviewed and did anything with at Zealot and Revolution SF when we first started our geek journalism careers. We were all in on Pitch Black.
Yeah.
And we never heard of course, we knew that we thought that movie was supposed to be the vehicle for the but instead, Vin Diesel comes up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
stellar cast: Vin Diesel, Keith David. Wonderful use of darkness.
Oh God, yeah. And another movie that was not a huge budget film that used its money wisely.
Right.
And
when people at the time that this was out, there was a lot of people wanting to do Conan, but didn't have the means to do it. And so one of the things we would tell people that would ask is, Riddick in Pitch Black is very much look at his attitude. His attitude is very Conan-like. Everybody gives him a lot more respect because of who he is, and we feel that as an audience. And he's not the person that everybody thinks he is. He's actually he's a different character than people believe him to be, and that uncertainty is where the best Conan stories are. Right. So it's a really really it's a cool thing. That's one of my go-to science fiction movies for just ones that I can plug in and just enjoy, whenever.
Last one, Darkman.
Wow. Oh,
for the longest time, that was the best one of the best Batman movies ever.
And also the best Shadow movie. Yeah.
Sam Raimi just having a ball with a superhero.
Yeah. He had the classic, if Darkman had been in Marvel 2-in-1 in 1976, it would have been okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. It was that put in a movie.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that it was Liam Neeson in a movie that he didn't die in.
Yeah.
That was the period of time where Liam Neeson would show up as the interesting guy and then get blown away 40 minutes in. So he
was the Sean Bean of the 90s.
Yes, he was. He was the Sean Bean of the 90s. What a fun movie, man. Raimi directing. It was a cool premise. And it was not so far-fetched that it was that you couldn't willingly suspend your disbelief. It was just enough.
They gave you all the the comic book sci-fi info.
Yeah.
And said, okay, yes, but never mind. Let's blow up stuff.
Right.
But it worked, the pseudo stuff, just like it does.
Yeah.
It's not like you sit there and go, well, that's not possible. You went, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you go with it. It's a really smart movie. One of the things that the movies that we're talking about are really smart too is, and I've noticed is all the movies we've mentioned are really smart. They're short.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not movies that go on for like 3 hours. I've argued this argument for years that like the perfect adventure movie and science fiction movie is 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You go in, you don't have time to think about things. You can suspend your disbelief. So if Darkman had been 3 hours, you would have been going, "Oh, come on!" You know,
like we're at ending number 4.
Right.
It was over, and here comes Benny from LA Law again.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, and so
that was the role that led him to Dr. Giggles.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I always love that ending where the bad guy is like, "You can't kill me because you're a hero. You're the good guy." And he's like, "Nope."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really cool pulp endeavor. And there, if you look at it, there's nothing like that anywhere around it. Like, it was a singular thing. You always forget about that as a sort of a proto superhero movie. Because it was original. It wasn't like based on any one thing, you know. I think it sort of is underappreciated.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because I remember when they announced Raimi doing Spider-Man, and people were like, "Well, who's this guy doing Spider-Man?" And I'm thinking, "Well, if you ever seen Darkman, you can see this man doing Spider-Man."
Whoa!
Yeah, finally.
And now he's hopefully going to be doing Doctor Strange, and that's just like
Same. Exactly. Yeah.
Which means we get Bruce Campbell in the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God! Because that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
It wasn't Disney overstepping with their megalithic properties and their draconian practices. It was not getting Sam Raimi into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, it's good that Sam's going to keep setting some money.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I just want Sam to make money.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. He can suckle on the Disney teat for a while.
Literally. Yeah. It's that.
He'll have it built.
Oh.
For the rest of his life.
It's that space cow that Mark Hamill milked in the second Star Wars reunion.
That's right.
That's the teat. That's the Disney teat.
The Disney teat squirts blue milk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Take that to Twitter.
And that blue milk
That is the
delicious.
subtitle for this this wonderful missive. That's a hashtag that will go with it.
There you go. You're welcome, Internet.
Yeah, you are welcome. We were breaking the internet before anyone else broke it. So,
And we're not putting it back together.
no. But guys,
Reggie,
thank
you own it.
very, very much. We need to do this again, maybe tomorrow or later on tonight. If anybody wants to take a nap and then come back, we'll do it.
Let's
guys, we will put all of your connection info and where you guys are on social media in our show notes. Rick, Gary, Mark, we've known each other for like 20 years. And thank you guys very, very much.
Yes,
It was fun.
So much
I
fun.
had a good time.
Yes. Always great to see you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good,
Always
good
a pleasure
stuff.
to talk to you all.
And on the very next episode of this that we do, we will hear Mark Finn say,
That's insightful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mark's gone quiet. Somebody calls.
You've stumped me. Oh my God, that's actually
Wow, Joe, you're a powerful man.
That's more of an internet moment, really. Honestly, me going, what this wasn't.
Stump Mark Finn.
I wasn't supposed to. I didn't have a thing to. What would?
It's too bad Kathy's not in the room. She could hear that. You probably hear her cackling.
She's had enough of my monkey shines. She really has.
That's
The stumped. Where you
I understand 100%. My wife is like, look. Same thing.
Yeah. Why don't you go in there for a day?
Yeah, just go down there.
There you go. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, Joe.
You guys very, very soon.
Yep.